is 9 o'clock. We're going to start on time. Thank you so much for being here. Is this thing on? I don't know.
It's on here.
Okay. All right, we've got mics we're trying out today. I'm used to just projecting, so bear with me because I'll probably go between here. I don't know if this is working or not. Nathan. Oh, okay. Okay. All right, so we're going to start this morning with our roll call. So I'll make this announcement as I do every time. The seats at the tables here are for SLEC members. If you are not a SLEC member, please stay back in the gallery area. We will have opportunity for public comment. So those of you who are visiting us today, thank you so much for being here. Welcome. There will be an opportunity for you to speak both before and after if you are so inclined.
You ready?
Ready?
All right. Joseph Duncan.
Here.
Rudy Wright.
Here.
Kevin Hale.
Here.
Nathan Moxley.
Here.
Doug Kroll. Eric Tanner.
Here.
I know he's not here, but I'll call it anyway. Scott Ford. Okay. Amy Brown. I don't think she's here either. Okay. Scott Talley.
Here.
Aaron Ramos.
Here.
Jody Cole. Here. Kathy Glass. Sean Jones.
Here.
Renee Perez. Elizabeth Miller. Here. Trey Holcomb.
Here.
John Hom.
Here.
Bob Townsend.
Here.
John Wilford. Brooke Bailey.
Here.
Ada Gonzalez. Lee Sharp. Stephen Haskett.
Here.
Ted Brown.
Here.
Alan Smith. Sean Trojic.
Here.
Michael Dooling.
Here.
Kyle Russell.
Here.
Chris Clements.
Hello.
Elliot Sherman. Janae LeBlanc.
Here.
Andrew Rummeling.
Here.
Paul Dar.
Here.
Adam Ray. Nolan Schmidt.
Here.
Paul Kiefer.
Here.
Joseph Roberts.
Here.
Nancy Neal. Joe Burns. Timothy Martinez. Michael Hansen. Okay. Sean Huckabee. Arthur Thomas.
Present.
Frank Lozano. Nathan Peer.
Here.
Teresa Ragel. Jack Westbrook.
Here.
All right, Colby, I'm sorry, I always mispronounce your name. Micey, thank you. I want to say Mies, I'm so sorry. All right, did I miss anybody? All right.
Well, all of us, yeah.
Oh, yes, well, of course. Whitney Billiou.
Here.
Becca Congdon. Here. Kate Prather. Here. And, of course, I'm here as well. All right. Did I miss anybody again? I didn't say if anybody walked in.
All right, while she sorts out the numbers and figures out who is still on SLEC this morning, I would ask you guys to check in the forum. We have at the end, toward the end of the day, a discussion about constitutional amendments that are going to be on the ballot for voters come November. Today, we want to establish our positions on those so that we can publicize them. In order to make that an efficient discussion, it would be helpful if you could prepare for it. And there's lots of information on the forum that's available to you that some people have already started talking about there, just to familiarize yourself with them and also kind of come back to that part of the day with your yes or no, what you would choose for us to take as an official position on those things. So with any of this downtime that we have throughout the day, if you would do that, I would very much appreciate it. So just bear with us while we sort out our roll for today.
Is there Wi-Fi?
Yes.
Yeah, it was up on the...
Sorry, yep.
What's that?
In Discord. Well, okay. How do you get to Discord without Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
So Ada is gone.
So Ada and Lee are.
I'm pretty sure, yep.
Yeah, they're both gone. Is your fight. Updated proposed.
It would have been on Sunday.
In Discord? No, in the forum. The forum?
Teresa's gone.
Goodness.
We have 4 people who were removed.
Which one's removed?
Scott Ford, Ada Gonzalez, Lee Sharp, and Teresa Regal were all removed.
Renee just walked in.
Renee? Okay. Well, that changes our numbers. 63.
Has anyone else walked in since roll call that we didn't notice?
Okay, there he is.
If they turn the lights on, are they really not going to be able to see the screen? It's weird not having lighting over here.
I wonder if it's. I don't know. Where would the lights? Do you want to play with it? I think the light panel would be over there under the phone. Do you want to play with it real quick? Or maybe Nathan's already. Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Just try it.
Can y'all see the screen still? Okay, that's what we were
Thank you.
concerned about. Thank you.
Okay. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 26. We have 36 present. $18, 19 for quorum for people who are here. We'll get the other ones. You need 75% and 90%, right?
2/3.
Yeah, so
2/3 is-
67 and 75.
25 for 2/3. And 27 for 75%.
Okay, sorry, what was the first one?
For quorum, it is...
Got that, 19.
19. 2/3 is 25,
Okay.
and 75% is 27.
John Wilford just wanted
27?
Well, John
Scratch all that, John
Wolford,
Wilford just walked in.
messing up my roll call.
We were almost there.
We're almost there.
Third time's a charm, right?
Guys, if we get here on time, we can do this quick.
That's all right. I'll forgive you this
Can,
once.
is it possible for us to move to?
I'll hold you to that. Okay.
So we can just come ahead?
Okay. So let's do this one
All
more
right, if there's no objection from the body, we can go ahead and move into public comment while we're reworking the roll here. So, no objection to that? Okay. All right, at this time, we'll go ahead and take public comment. We've got 10 minutes on the agenda for that. Is there anybody in the public there or not SLEC members who have anything they wish to share with us today? Staff members as well. Thank you all for being here.
I'm Joey, been coming around for like a year and we all so accepting and welcoming. I've been speaking a lot with my local city council and with also the county. The county's been instructed by the DA not to speak to me, and the officer that was involved in the incident retired, so like I'm never win.
Yeah. What county?
And push locally, 3 minutes at a time, sell libertarian idea, and send anything just to get people listening. They're looking for ideas that aren't so polarized by the national parties. So keep pushing this to keep people involved.
Thank you. Yeah, and those of you, when you do speak, please tell us not only your name, but also what county you're with, too, so we can get to know
Can
where
you
everybody's
repeat
from.
that for
Thank
me?
you.
Who was that?
Michelle.
And your name again?
Michelle Wiggington.
Michelle Wiggington.
Michelle Wigington, Dallas County.
Yep.
Okay. Pause that public comment for a second, guys.
Okay, so we have 37 present. Quorum is 19. 2/3 is 25. 75% would be 28.
Okay, and
Right.
yeah, so we're good. Okay, all right, we've got our numbers. It'll take 19. We've got 19 for quorum. Just keep that in mind. As of now, any votes we take with that required 2/3, it would require 25 members to vote, and 3/4 would require 28. So that may change throughout the day, but that's where we are right now. And we had, you already said 4 people removed. Right?
Yes.
4 people removed for absence.
They're on the notes already.
Okay. All right. We'll continue with public comment. Anybody else? All right. We're going to get through this pretty quickly. Oh, one more. Okay. Yes. Yes, and just for those of you who didn't hear Daniel Bledsoe, he has been nominated to take one of the seats here with us for Senate District 9. The votes on that close on the 25th, which is Wednesday.
4 days
maybe?
away, yeah.
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 So maybe by the next meeting, you'll be sitting here with us. Thank you for that.
Thanks for already showing up.
Yeah. All right, anyone else? Okay, cool. All right, we're going to move on now to the adoption of the agenda. It should be up on the screen for you soon. So those of you, we have had a couple new additions to the SLEC body recently, so I'll just go ahead and sort of share how the agenda works. I post the agenda 2 weeks. That is my goal, to post it 2 weeks out, my draft proposed agenda. And then that gives you a week at that point to see if there's anything that needs to be changed, any time slots that need to be adjusted, maybe triggers a reminder of something else you wanted to add. So you've got a week there, and then a week out from the meeting is when I post the final proposed agenda. So it's very important as we move forward that, we did have one thing come in like 2 weeks before I started thinking about the agenda, that someone just sort of vaguely suggested we should talk about this thing at our next meeting, but it wasn't actually an agenda request. And I was really close to not adding it, and then I realized that it was a very important thing for us to do as a political party, and that was talk about these constitutional amendments that we need to be putting out a position on. So it was good that that was sort of noticed for the agenda. But just keep that in mind as we move forward. If you want things on the agenda, you need to really be thinking about them about 3 weeks out so that we can make sure they get on if they need to be on. Also, keep in mind that there's a lot of things that we could do on the forum. We can conduct business on the forum if we need to. So just keep that in mind. And of course, always use the forum to prepare for these meetings, because a lot of the discussions and the decisions that we make at the meetings, there are things that can be sorted out before we get here to make it productive and efficient. So when it comes to the meeting day, and I said this very early on when we first started this term, that proposing things the day of to change the agenda, at best, is frowned upon. We went through many years, those of you who have been here for a long time, many years of battling for hours on the morning of the meeting about what should be on the agenda. Those days are gone. So thank you so much for that. All right, so, is it up there?
Yep.
Yeah, if you just want to scroll through so everybody can see.
Hand up.
All right, at this time, we will enter.
John Wilford has a hand.
Oh, Mr. Wilford. All right, we've got a motion to adopt the agenda. It has been seconded.
Okay. John.
John Wilford.
Thank you.
You want to go ahead and do a reminder?
Yes, this is your reminder, as I'm affectionately picking on John. When you do make any announcement or say who you are or speak at all, please say your full name and your SD. Otherwise, after the meeting, I'm spending hours listening to the tapes and saying, who said that? I don't like that. Thank you, John.
I'll try to help too.
Thank you.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any objections to adopting this agenda for today? Hearing no objections, the agenda is adopted.
Love the efficiency.
Thank you. All right, next item. When you're ready, Madam Secretary, approve the previous minutes, which also are in the forum.
Well, there is a change to the minutes. Does anybody, the minutes are up on the forum right now. I can pull them up.
Wilford has his hand.
Thank you. Mr. Wilford?
I just wish, John Wilford has as well, I wish to move the latest draft of the minutes posted on the forum.
Second.
By Andrea Malang, SD 18. All right, we've got a motion and a second to move the minutes approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Any objections? Hearing no objections, the previous meeting's minutes are approved. Real quick, while we've got the agenda up there, I want to point out too, the way it's written, I actually do stick to the time frames that are allotted there, but not the actual time of day. Time of day is just kind of sort of benchmarking to see where we are. So those are not firm, but the minutes that we're giving to each item are firm. So if we wind up running out of time on each of those items or any of those items, we would have to extend time to continue. So for those of you who are new, just want to make sure you understand that process. All right, so next thing, we are moving into officer reports. And on the forum, my standard practice is just to put
The introductory offer is open until December 31st, end of this year, and we'll take payments between now and then if you want to smooth out the cash flow a little bit. So if you are interested in joining at this level, please talk to me here today, or we can catch up, at your convenience. But we can smooth that out between now and the end of the year. Can I take a question from Luke, or is that? Luke?
With no objections, a question from the gallery.
For the contributions, is there going to be, is there going to be a line item for us to be able to identify our donation as going towards the lifetime membership, or are you all going to support that out on the website?
Kyle, the man, Russell, is adding it to the website even as we speak. He's so on it, I didn't even have to ask him. He's just doing it already. We good?
We're good. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, next item on the agenda, the election of Texas representatives to the National Credentials and Platform Committees. I assume everybody here knows this, but basically National has a platform committee and a credentials committee, and because of our national membership as a state affiliate, we qualify to add an additional person to those committees just from our state affiliate. In addition to any Texans who may already have been elected to those committees, we get an extra one. So we're going to decide who those people are today. We had previously if you don't mind, I'll just give this introduction. Okay. We previously on the forum took nominations. I think we had 6 people who were nominated, or 7 people who were nominated for platform, and 7 for platform and 1 for credentials. So, but there's a motion that goes with this to determine how we're going to proceed with this decision.
To the microphone.
It's up. It's up. And this was supposed to be presented by John Wilford, but he had to leave.
Yeah, John left, so I told him I'd do it for him. Do y'all want me to read the whole motion, or is this sufficient? Oh, boy. Okay. I move that the following procedure be used to select the LP Texas representatives to the LP National Credentials and Platform, to select the LP Texas representatives to the LP National Credentials and Platform Committees. Nominees shall be all those who filled out an LP Texas National Platform Committee and Credentials Committee application and indicated interest in the committee seat being voted for by checking the committee box in the question, which committee are you applying for? No other nominees shall be eligible. SLEC shall elect 1 representative to each of the 2 national committees from among the nominees using the balloting procedure outlined in LP Texas Rules 4E10-4A, single seat balloting procedure. And the reference for that is below, which, yeah, I really don't want to read that. It's basically approval voting with for and against options. So that's the motion.
So a motion has been made to, and seconded.
I guess.
SB 16 second.
Okay. John intended us to do paper ballots here. That's up to y'all. I'm not saying how we should do it. We could change this motion a little bit and do an OPA vote after the meeting. So there's options. It's up to y'all what y'all want to do.
In other words, we take the time and pass out the ballots that were pre-printed per the way this motion was written, that we would use pre-printed ballots that already have the names on them of the nominees. So we could go through that motion, or we could do an email vote using OPA vote, which is a system we used before, to cast the votes on this after the meeting. So everybody gets it in their email, and they cast the vote overnight or something.
Request for information. If we did OPA vote, would the ballot only be open to people who were credentialed today, or would that be for all of SLEC, even the ones that are not present today?
If this motion
Okay.
was changed to direct us to vote later, I mean, I guess there would be chair interpretation, but I would think it would include all of SLEC. Yeah.
I wouldn't. To me, the vote actually would be starting now, and the people who are here present to vote, they would be the ones that get ballots. That's the way I would do it.
Okay, I'm not going to argue with you.
I pass those out.
Well, yeah. Maybe we
should vote for people who are not here, shouldn't be participating in activities.
Right. That's why I wanted to clarify.
Okay,
Order. I don't know if Mr. Westbrook or Ted had their hands up first.
Yes, Ted Brown, District 14. I believe both of those committees allow alternates, so I would move an amendment that the person that comes in second would be the alternate Texas rep for each of those committees.
Don't actually.
Can you, is that out of order?
So he's moving to amend this motion by allowing for the second place vote getter to be the alternate in either instance.
Correct.
That actually would only work for platform committee because only one person is on the ballot for credentials. So we have an amendment to this motion, which is just not changing it, it's just adding another layer that whoever gets second would automatically become the alternate that we would report to national. It is seconded. Any objections to that amendment?
Is that correct? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes. No objections to that one? Okay, so the motion has been amended. So now we are still back, the original motion still shows that we're doing paper ballots, which we have in hand here. Unless there is a, you had some.
Are we going to do discussion on that or voting on that? Or did we do
On the motion itself?
On the amendment.
the amendment that we, was that voted on? I must have missed it.
There, nobody objected to it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
Ms. Brown?
Yes, another amendment, Ted Brown, District 14. I don't really agree with the voting against part of it. I think if you're doing approval voting and you don't approve of something, you just don't approve of them by voting for them. So I would move to we need to be voting against part of the motion.
Well, whether or not you agree with it, it's part of our rule. So this motion is written to include that rule as the method of voting. So if you don't want to do that, then we need to amend that part of this motion so that we're not using that rule. Because that rule, yeah, but we can't necessarily change the rules.
That's what I meant, though.
Okay.
This instance, we would not use voting against.
So, what is your amendment?
To only, for the approval voting would be approved, vote to approve what you wish to approve, and that's it.
So, can I see the,
The language won't match up. You're gonna have to come up with a.
We're gonna have to completely redo that.
well, not yet.
Is this what
All
you'll?
right, so Mr. Brown is moving to each ballot each delegate shall have the option to vote for. So basically, we would be removing the word against in this. Mr. Haff?
Would that be adopted? Would that change the tiebreaker, which is also included in that? There's tiebreaker language about the number of
Against.
yes votes.
Matter in the event of the time.
Hold on. Well, I need to see it all at
Oh,
once.
sorry.
That's okay. No nominated, the others will not receive any reward. The others will not receive any reward. I see what you're saying. Yeah, so we would have to strike any instance of using the against votes in this motion. So yeah, it would basically rewrite the entire process. So we need a minute to get this on screen.
That was statement has to be SD 14.
Actually, we don't, because it hasn't been seconded.
yes, we have to be second.
Yeah, it's just not.
Hearing no second, on we go. Okay.
Request for information.
Yes.
I would like to know what prompted this motion to start with. Can you help me out with that?
Because we,
Jack Westbrook, just me starting.
Jack Westbrook, 31. We have to, well, we are eligible as a Texas affiliate to send a platform and credentials committee member to national. And so this is how we decided to do that today. We decided today who this is. And this was the method that John Wilford proposed
So
that
there's
we
not
do.
an existing method?
No, no.
That answers the
We've
question.
never
Thank
established
you.
one. Yeah, we've never established. We go through this every year, which is why John wanted to put a motion forth before the meeting, because in the past, we've tried to figure it out here.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so we still have a motion on the floor to use these ballots, vote for and against. There's a tiebreaker already built in. It's been moved, it's been seconded. Is there any further discussion on this? Janae? Of course. Yeah, you can always say. That was a long pass. 18.
I think they called the question.
All right,
Okay.
tell her your name.
Nathan Pierce, 28.
All right, the question has been called.
Here's 28.
Thank you.
All right, we are now, any objections to the question? Great, the question has been called. We are now moving to a vote. Yes?
Can I give a little? There's information about each of the applicants on the form. John uploaded a spreadsheet with the information they provided that you can use in making your decisions.
Okay. So we are moving to a vote on, to adopt this motion. Basically, this is establishing the procedure that we're going to use today. Paper ballots already pre-printed for you. We passed them out. Let's let members who are present. And
If you have pens,
elect
share
those.
them.
Yes.
There should be
Hopefully
pens at
everybody
everybody's
has-
chair.
Yeah, there should be pens out there for you. And then I would say we need those back, because if you guys want time to review the applicants, as Arthur just referenced. Close the business?
And how long do I have to compile them?
I would say ballots are due before you walk out of here this evening, and meaning the meeting, and then we have, you want till tomorrow morning at some point?
Yeah.
Tell us what time you'd like to announce.
I can compile them today. I'd like someone to volunteer to double check.
Okay, we can get that. All right,
But,
so,
yeah.
all right, we're voting on this motion to,
I have a point of order about that. Or refresh information. Technically, you're supposed to count the votes and release the results when you're in the same session.
that is true.
And that way the body can verify the votes. So now the body can relinquish that right if it wants to, just accept whatever the secretary's results are. But John, just because John's not here, I will point out, he doesn't like that.
He doesn't like what?
That allowing the votes to be determined after
Oh,
the
I see.
session's closed.
I have no objections to that. You're right. By default, it would be that we do it right here. So we would just kind of have to stand at ease while votes get counted.
Okay.
And you'll have a team, obviously, here to help you and watch that. So, okay, let's get this disposed of. So the motion is, this is the way we're going to do the voting to fill these two vacancies. We have already amended it to include the second place vote getter for platform committee to be alternate. Paper ballots are already ready. Is there any objection to this motion? Hearing no objection, it's passed. This is what we're going to do. So we can start passing out ballots.
Actually, only one person's supposed to pass out.
So are you going to do it?
There is a process.
Go ahead.
You wanna do it? Okay, you're supposed to hand each person one ballot.
All right.
Blame it on his one
All
eye.
right. Secretary will be passing out ballots.
Here, I'll take it.
Is that for you?
I don't know. Was that for me?
Okay, so I'll do it. Secretary is passing out the ballots. Each select member gets one. I don't know how many he printed, so obviously, Mr. Dooley.
They are numbered.
Return your own ballot, not your neighbor's, to Stephanie. That is your choice. You are welcome to, but it's not required. We do that on the LNC, but not here. Sign ballots, yeah.
And while you're waiting for me to pass these out, it's a good time to check the forums. Just as a hint. I did not say sign the ballot.
We said you can if you want to.
You can sign the ballot.
It is not, we don't do that here. I mean, you can if you want to, but it's not a requirement here.
Just remember your ballot number.
The ballots are numbered, so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Finish your vote.
Okay.
Can't forget the important part.
Do we have any outstanding ballots?
All ballots been returned. Those who are voting. Janae.
Yeah, being pregnant kind of puts you in that habit of side sleeping.
No, I understand. Twin Peaks, and I had this, the fish and chips. I came back, and the fish was awful, because I couldn't sleep.
When I worked there, I never had the fish.
Well, that was good to know.
But that was 15, wait, what year is this? 16 years ago.
Ted Brown will be the Credentials Committee, sorry, Platform Committee. Janae would be the alternate for that, and then Scott Peterson for the Credentials Committee. So I'll be reporting that information to National, and they'll be in contact. All right, moving on to the next item of the agenda is delegate allocation. Arthur, you're up again.
Loudly? Okay. In accordance with Texas bylaw 4D2, apportionment of delegates, the divisor of total votes for each county be set to 6,500 to establish the 2022 LP Texas State Convention delegate and alternate allocations. There's no second, so.
Sorry, I was reading.
You want me to? There's not much.
Explain this to anyone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, well, it's been
Oh.
seconded, so yes, go ahead.
Okay. Do you want to?
No.
Okay. So we can set the number of delegates that each county gets apportioned. The minimum is already set by the bylaws, but we can set basically the divisor. We take all the statewide candidates, total up the Libertarian votes for those candidates, and each county has a number according to that based on the votes in their county. We divide by that, and whatever number we pick as a divisor determines the delegate counts. And just note, there's also potentially additional delegates that are added on top of that in each county based on any candidate that got 10% or more in, if that race was contained entirely within the county. I hope that makes sense.
So we've got a motion to, basically what we're doing here is setting the divisor to 6.5. And it's been seconded.
Honorable Ingram,
Yes.
what is the approximate delegate count based on this divisor for the 2022 state convention?
Oh, there's a spreadsheet.
I was wondering if you were going to bring the spreadsheet.
I forgot. Yeah, there's a spreadsheet.
Is the spreadsheet on the form?
It's not on the form. I can put it on there real quick. I think it has to be.
It's probably in the.
Oh, it is linked on the form. There's 3 people looking at it right now.
So there is a spreadsheet that shows how those would be allocated, so it's in the, there's a link to it in the forum. She's working on getting it up on the screen, so if you have specific questions about that, just give us a second. I saw another hand. Yes, Ted Brown.
Yeah, Ted Brown, District 14. First, the unaffiliated counties are not going to have any reps if they don't get affiliated soon. And leaving them out, there's a very small number of delegates as far as I can see. It seems like a very small number for most of the organized counties. So I would move that all the organized counties double delegate allocation. We need to encourage people to participate, like 16 delegates for Dallas. When the convention is going to be held in Dallas, you can have double that or more willing to participate, buy packages, attend all the events. The numbers that are down here are very, very low. Travis has 13, we could have doubled that easily. But I believe we should have double the number of portion delegates for each of the organized counties, and that is my motion.
Point of order, I guess. I don't think that, I think that would go against our bylaws. We can't just arbitrarily double things.
You have to change the divisor, basically.
The minimum delegate allocation is 3, and that's in the bylaws.
There's not said otherwise. Yeah. Still minimum is 3, but the organized counties to will be allowed to double. No one will have less than 3.
I think the point of order is well taken. We cannot just double these numbers. What we can do is change the divisor. So right now, we're moving to change the divisor to 6.5. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't understand the mathematical angle, so you can help me on that.
So Mr. Brown made an amendment, or proposes an amendment to this, which would basically be doubling. I'm calling that, ruling that out of order, because that's not the way the rules work.
That brings us into Tom, Destiny 11. That brings us, to my point, noting activity on the forum for earlier today. Will that have any will this have any effect on a portion of the debate from populous counties saying that they have more delegates coming than they're seating in the county?
What do you mean, what activity on the forum specifically?
There's a post on the forum about it. One of the state's larger counties. Yeah.
So there's a column in this spreadsheet that says additional delegates, and it's already included the ones who had earned additional delegates. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think what you're referring to is there was a county that earned 2 extra spots because of their vote results.
Are we going to have any bearing on that?
Yes, and that's already noted in there. Yes.
In relation to that,
This is your motion, you don't have to raise your hand, so.
well, it's the body's motion now, so.
That's true.
The additional delegates happen regardless because of how it's written in the bylaws. So only 2 counties right now have reported they have additional delegates. This motion only affects the divisor and sets allocation based on the divisor. The other counties, and I hope they will report their additional delegates, can do that anytime, and well, as long as the credentials committee can deal with it. Wait until the last minute might not be advised.
Is this amendment been seconded yet?
Yes.
I don't think there's
Mike
no-
seconded it.
Oh, the original.
Whoa! Guys, the original motion has been seconded. His amendment was out of order anyway, so we do not have any other amendments on the floor. All we have is a motion to change the divisor to 6.5. That's the only thing that has happened. Mr. Haskell, you.
Point of inquiry, what would the divisor have to be changed to double the number of?
Say that again?
What would the divisor need to be changed to double the number?
I don't know the answer to that. Do you?
No.
And who spoke up?
That was Stephen Haskett.
SD 14.
14.
I was hoping people played with round number.
Well,
Mr. President.
it's a view-only document.
Yeah, they
Point of information, Renee Perez, SD9. How would this impact our convention attendance venue? In other words, if we were to expand the number of delegates, is it possible to go to have too many delegates?
We're not, it's not going to be a space issue.
It's not.
Point of information.
Hang on. I'm going to go to someone who hasn't spoken yet.
Jody Cole, SD7. What determines what the divisor is? Where does that number come from?
This is what we're doing now. We make this number up. It's whatever. I just started a number because we have to start somewhere. So I made a motion with a number in it, and I figured people will hopefully have more input up to this point, but now we're in the business session voting on what that number is.
Well, if I may take the privilege of speaking, that you might need to do some of that, because nobody in here
Yeah,
can.
if y'all want to play with the number, I have the spreadsheet here, and I can either give Stephanie permission to my spreadsheet to change it, or I could just fiddle with it based on the number y'all just want to see, and we can put it on the screen and play with it a little bit. It's up to y'all, Larry.
Yeah.
Mr. Brown?
Yes, I guess a point of information based on what Arthur just said and what I was trying to do before. There was some other divisor number mentioned. What divisor can we use to double the number of delegates? What would be the divisor number?
You try to do something different. 3.25.
3.25.
I know. Do you understand his question?
So, can we get the
He wants to
spreadsheet on the
know.
screen?
He wants to know if we can try a divisor that would effectively double the number.
They want to see in real time what happens as we change this divisor. The problem is going to be, Mr. Brown, that we're not going to be able to just double some counties, which I think is what you were suggesting earlier.
Well, it would be the same idea because the ones that aren't organized wouldn't have any delegates anyway, alternates. So it really wouldn't make any difference with those anyhow.
That's a good point. If they don't have a convention, they can't attract others.
Mr. Emily?
Is there a way to discuss the relative merits of going from 300 delegates to 600 delegates before we start looking at
600 would be a
numbers and trying to figure out this and that?
Well,
I mean, procedurally, how would we, because I think it's a horrible idea to have more than 300 delegates. So is there a way we could debate that proposition before we start playing with the spreadsheet?
Well, the motion is on the floor. If someone, a way to do that is perhaps to,
Can I speak against the amendment?
we don't have an amendment yet.
Okay.
We still have not had an amendment that is in order. Hold on. What we're going to do now, because there are too many people who have not played with this spreadsheet prior to this moment, clearly. So nobody has actually really even thought through, with very few exceptions, what happens and what these numbers actually mean and why this divisor matters. So we're going to put it up on the screen and play around with it, and nobody's going to be able to see it because it's tiny.
It's on the forum.
Okay.
You can get this
Yes,
in front of you
can
right now if
see
you
it
have
on
a
the
laptop.
forum. So if you, right now we've got the divisor in there as 6.500, and if you, yes, 6,000, sorry, 6,500. So if you go to the far right column, that shows how many delegates those counties would have with that divisor. The minimum is already set to 3 by our bylaws. That's not going to change. Nobody's going to have less than those allocated. So if there's a specific county that you want and you don't have it in front of you, now's your opportunity to ask. Mrs. Meissner.
Yeah, I was just going to point out that the way this is set up and how it allocates the number of delegates, you can only change changing that 6,500 rule. It could increase the number of delegates, but it can't change the minimum. So all that's going to do is, skew us into the bigger population areas.
Mr. Hale.
Last year, last cycle, Dallas had 22 assigned delegates via this method. So I just want to make sure that we still have those 22 before we even mess with it. If you want to double it, then you need to get to 3250.
So Dallas County has how many?
16.
So we've lost on this.
Point of
on this
inquiry.
What was the divisor last year? Does anyone know?
I don't,
It was-
I don't remember, but it doesn't, you can't directly compare them.
Okay,
because
that's
you
true,
have-
because the vote total.
Yeah, because the vote totals change.
Point of inquiry.
Is that 20?
I don't expect you to have an exact answer on this, but could you or another member of last credentials committee speak to how many of these counties, the larger counties, actually filled their delegation last time?
Nathan, do you remember that? How many of the larger delegations actually filled?
I'll rephrase. In general, did the larger counties fill their delegations? I know Bear County did not.
Can you give me 2 minutes to look at that?
Absolutely.
I'll get that.
Thank you.
Mr. Pierce.
If we were to double the affiliated, just by a quick calculation.
Order.
If we were to double the affiliated counties alone, just by quick calculation, that's 624.
That can't be right, because you lose 3 delegates for each of the 150 unaffiliated counties.
Right, I did not add that.
Mr. Roberts.
That was
No crosstalk, please, guys. Thank you.
Joe Roberts, in the spirit of Sean Huckabee, I moved to call it.
I don't think I can support that yet.
Thank you, Joe.
Can I object?
All right.
There's objection. We're gonna have to
The
vote.
question has been called. There is objection to calling the question. We will now vote on whether or not we're going to call the question.
Where I was.
All right, we are now voting on whether or not we will call the question. A vote in favor means we go to a vote. We proceed to a vote on the motion itself. All in favor of calling the question and proceeding to a vote on the motion, which is the 6,500 divisor. Raise your hand if you're in favor of calling the question. All right, all opposed? Okay, it fails.
Point of information.
Yes, Mr. President.
What was approximate delegate count at the 2018 state convention?
Nathan's gonna have to provide that information as well.
As I recall, that was 384.
It was the max possible,
No,
or was that?
I believe that's how many we had. Which is in there, how much is it?
That feels really high.
Think so?
Yeah.
That might have been delegates.
Going to the credentials report from last time.
Oh, hang on a sec. Paul. Yes, you're ready, you're waiting. Go ahead.
I've looked at the spreadsheet, yes, 5,000 will get you closer to the number you looked at. I started small when I gave my recommendations because I did look at the spreadsheet ahead of time. So if you want to get towards there, I can help. It depends on what the body actually wants. I was looking at what we didn't meet last time and read to what we actually met on some of those numbers, but we can see that.
Did everyone hear that? Someone had asked earlier what number would it take to get us to where we were, specifically for Dallas County. Paul Darges answered that 5,000 gets a little bit closer to what Dallas County would want. All of the other counties. So there's no questions. Mr. Brown. Then Mr. Hale.
I would like to move that we
Well,
change.
no, hold on. Arthur's first, then you.
Oh,
Hang on.
my
Okay, ready? Okay. All right, go ahead.
3 points. The minimum delegation amount in the past has been set to 4 typically, but rural counties also don't typically send 4 delegates. So I just wanted to clarify the point that the delegation allotment was moved down, but that doesn't mean it will actually have a significant impact on delegate turnout in rural counties. Some, of course, will send their minimum allocation. As far as postponement of this motion, I would, in the past, selecting the convention location was tied to setting the allocation. The last convention, those were separated out so we could do these differently. But I still think we've got a convention location, it can hold so many people, and I think giving the events department a number that they know, like their cap number, would be good not to delay, so they can have some reasonable idea of what the maximum amount of people would be. And I don't know what the perfect number is, but as with my single vote, I think these spots should be competitive to some amount. Just opening them up to open them up doesn't particularly serve the party in any particular way, but if they're competitive, then hopefully the best people will come to our convention and not just anyone who shows up. So.
Here, I would like to move that we change the divisor to 5,000.
Second.
And then.
Right? Yes.
Yes.
Motion to amend, changing the divisor to 5,000 from 6,500. It has been seconded. Is,
Please take into consideration it's not just delegates, it's also alternates and gallery. So we're looking at, 500 max in the business, where business will be held. So keep that in mind as well.
Where's the 5,000? Oh, sorry, Scott, SD5. What is the 5,000 take our total up to?
354.
Possible delegates?
hang on, we'll get there.
5,000 brings it up to total possible delegates 354.
I'm okay with that.
Request for information.
Yes.
Can the secretary click on the sorted tab when she can and show that tab? People might be.
Point of order. Point of
All
order.
right, hang on.
It's at the bottom.
We're adjusting the view here,
See the sorted?
so that shows them in order from
Yes.
largest to smallest. Okay, so this might help some of you just for perspective on your particular larger counties. This is with the 5,000 divisors.
Wow.
Oh, now it's
Better than before. We do have
Yes.
point of order.
That takes us from 7 to 9.
We're still in debate on this motion, so I need order.
Madam Chair, there's a point of order.
Yeah, I was wondering if that's a point.
Like do some sort of,
Hey, guys.
throw it into histogram and vote on it that way. Like, here's some bucket. Like approval voting, everybody just chooses their favorite bucket.
You mean like county by county?
Well, everyone that's here, I guess. Here's the 5,000 bucket, cast your votes on that. Here's the 4,000.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
We could do that. But right now, we're not debating how to vote on this, we're debating what number it should be, and well, right now we have a motion, an amendment on the floor, and it was seconded to change the divisor to 5,000. Here you see what 5,000 does to it. Is there objection to the amendment, which
Objection.
changes 6,500 to 5,000?
Objection.
Okay.
Point of information, is it, to make, in case anyone else is having trouble with the math like me, is it true that this number that generates 354 delegates also requires space for 354 alternates theoretically? And so we'd have to have room for 708 working delegates and alternates plus gallery, which exceeds the capacity of the room that we're looking at now.
Point of information,
Yes.
would that number not also be exceeded by the 312 that was at the 6,500?
Theoretically, yes, potentially in some infinite universe has 354 delegates and alternates. I can safely say that the location we have chosen would have a way for us to create an overflow space if that infinite universe happened to us.
We do have that contingency plan.
So for gallery and alternates who are not active voters at the time, if it came to it, we would work that out. We'd figure it out. So.
All right, so we are still in debate over the amendment, which was to change the 6,500 number to 5,000. We were seeing that here on the screen. This is what 5,000 would look like. I don't know if there's a specific county you want to see that you can't see here. Mr.
Yes,
Chuck.
request recommendation. Can we spell that out?
Oh, Mr. Talley behind you had his hand up. Go ahead.
Has there been an objection to this?
Yes.
amendment?
Yes.
I call it a vote to vote. Call a question to vote.
Okay, so the question has been called on the, are you calling all pending questions? or
No,
are you calling
just on the
just
amendment.
Okay, so the question has been called.
Second.
It has been seconded. Is there an objection to calling the question on this amendment? Hearing no objection, we will move to a vote on the amendment. The amendment is to change the 6,500 number originally proposed to 5,000. Is there any objection to changing the number to 5,000?
Just a quick question. If you vote on this, this is it? Like that's
Then we go back to the main motion, which is to adopt the new thing. This is changing the number to 5,000. Any objection to changing it to 5,000 for the purpose of considering the main motion?
I'll object to get a vote.
Okay, all right, so we are going to vote on calling, on changing the number to 5,000. So all in favor of changing 6,500 to 5,000, raise your hand. We got 16, 17. Opposed? Fails. Yes. We're back to the original motion, 6,500.
I'm sorry, what was the total?
Here's the motion. All right, so back to the original motion, the number, to set it to 6,500 as the divisor. What does that do to the total? You're asking for the total delegates?
What was the total vote? What was?
It was 1612, or 1712.
It only takes a majority for an amendment.
What's that?
It only takes a majority for an amendment like that passed.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it was about kids. 17
Well,
workers.
actually, that's true, I was thinking 18 to 20. Oh, yeah, you're right, it passed.
Yes.
That was my mistake, you're right. It passed.
Oh, we got around
Thank you.
5,000.
Thanks, boys.
Now the motion is 5,000.
Yes, so now back to the main motion, which now reads, change the divisor, to set the divisor at 5,000.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Joe Robertson, District 23, I move to call this question as well.
All right, the question has been called.
Point of information, do we have anything?
Joe Robertson, District 23.
23. Yes, request for information?
Aaron Ramos, SD 6.
It doesn't seem like there's much.
Hold on, please, guys. Can't hear. Mr. Ramos, proceed, please.
The minimum, can we raise that one from 3 to 4, or is that locked somehow?
Our rules say that it's 3 strikes. We can't change that, change that convention.
Okay.
All right, so we're back to the main motion. The question has been called and seconded. Is there any objection to calling the question on this motion?
I object.
Okay, so we now proceed to a vote on calling the question to consider this motion, to vote on this motion. All in favor of calling the question, raise your hand. All opposed? It passes. The question has been called. We're moving to a vote on the motion. All in favor of adopting this motion to establish 6,500 as
No,
the
5,000.
Yes, 5,000. Thank you. Already been it. It's the same. Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. All right. All in favor of this motion? Raise your hand. Opposed? Motion passes. Next. So, just for everybody's benefit, will that spreadsheet then be updated and goes back on the, there, so everybody can see on the board that that's here now.
Okay, but I need to put your name on there. Remind me how you spell your last name?
Townsend.
Is it?
TOWNSED.
Thank you.
So you're doing this?
Chair? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, while we're still the topic, can I announce that something quickly about this?
Yes. Hang on, guys, before we move to the next item, Mr. Thomas has something to add to what we just did.
Like, I just want to mention, as I said, there's only been 2 counties to report their additional delegate. If you have a race within your districts in one of your counties, the race, if it's entirely contained within the county and it's got 10% or more, let me know, let the Credentials Committee know, so that we can portion of the additional delegates to that county. So help us with that, please, because I'm not going to look all that up. Try to see it. Okay. Just email me whatever the race and numbers are.
All right, so we are moving on to a motion to define the scope and access for the Libertarian Party of Texas Operations Manual. It was originally going to be put forth by Joe Burns. He is not with us today, so Mr. Townsend is taking that spot.
Yeah, Bob Townsend, District 11. Since Joe can't be here and he's the original sponsor, I volunteered to go ahead and co-sponsor this motion for him. And if it would please the body to allow Nathan Watts to express this motion, since this is pretty much his baby, and he can't really address the body unless, of course, he had somebody to present him that was on select, and since Joe's not here, I volunteered to do that. So.
Okay. So to clarify, are you making this motion?
I'm making this motion.
Okay, so the motion has been made to, that the State Libertarian Executive Committee of LP Texas directs that the operations manual maintained by the Libertarian Party of Texas Records Department be made publicly accessible through the website until such time that the operations manual is formally amended to define a more limited scope of access. For the record, it's already publicly available on the website.
So this is really a.
Right. That's the motion itself, the rest is notes, it looks like, right? So now, that's the motion that's been made. Is there a second? Hearing no second, motion fails.
Thank you.
Thank you. Policy manual is on the website. Sorry, operations manual.
Actually, I don't believe Nathan wanted to say something.
If there is no objection, I'm happy to let Mr. Watts come, because Mr. Townsend was going to yield the floor to Nathan to speak to this motion, had it been actually considered. If there's no objection from you guys, we can hear what Mr. Watts would have to say.
So moved.
Because it's Nathan.
It's Nathan.
We have so many Nathans.
Hey, I appreciate y'all's indulgence. So, real briefly, that yes, the manual, operation manual, formerly known as the policy manual, has now been added back on publicly onto the website. The reason why I suggest to this body that this motion is not moot and is still relevant is that there is nothing to prevent it from going off the website in the future by someone else, a future administration, something like that. I do believe that the officers and staff members are fully within their authority to, at any time, add or remove things from the website as they deem fit. And it was, and that's what happened here. It was thought, this does not need to be accessible by the public, let's take it off, so it was taken off. And that's, I think, there was nothing wrong about that being done, because we had not defined the scope of access of this document. This motion simply defines that this document should remain publicly accessible through this means, unless in the future this body wishes to formally amend the document and define a more limited scope. I have reasons to defend why I believe it should be public, and that's fine, but what this motion would accomplish, if passed now, is to ensure that it remains publicly accessible into the foreseeable future, unless official action is taken otherwise.
And to be clear, when Mr. Burns is back engaged with us, he can also make this same motion in the forum, and we can do that thing without being in person. Thank you. All right. Are we at our last thing?
It's you for the constitutional amendments.
Okay. Yes, so the last item of new business with notice is constitutional amendment position. So Mr. Brown had posted several weeks ago about the constitutional amendments that are going to appear in November on everyone's ballot in Texas. There was some discussion already on there. Frank Lozano posted in there things related to our actual platform about some of these things. So there's a lot of really good discussion and information in the forum about this. I went ahead and added this to the agenda, even though it wasn't specifically requested for the agenda in time. But I thought it was a good thing for a political party to do because it's political action. And this is an opportunity for us to create something that can go, that we can publicize. What we're looking for, what we used to do is put out like the push cards.
I got it.
Thank you. Put out the push cards that had, what our positions were on each one, are we for it or against it, and then if there was an opportunity, we provide a little bit of explanation. So I think my intention was to accomplish today, and hopefully I think Ted's too, is to establish what our positions are on this, so that we can then go back and publicize it. So that would be my intention for this particular part of the day. I'm not really sure how we should go about this because not everybody has access to the forum at this moment and can't see all the discussion that was in there, but I know, and Ted, if you want to go ahead and speak a little bit to the ones that the ones we know, we probably are all yeses on and all no's on. Otherwise, we can do some polls to decide how we want to.
Or after a brief discussion, just make a motion to say yay or nay or something like that, or which position to take. Okay. All right. The first was Proposition 1, which I can't believe this is in the state constitution, but a constitutional amendment authorizing the Professional Sports Team Charitable Foundation of organizations sanctioned by the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association or the Women's Professional Rodeo Association to conduct charitable raffles at rodeo venues. Why in the world does this need to be in the state constitution? But sure, why shouldn't they have a raffle?
Because raffles are designated in the Constitution as being a regulated portion.
Okay.
Is it a charity raffle?
It's a charitable raffle at a rodeo.
So it would be like.
It's illegal in sports gambling.
Yeah.
So would this be similar to the 50-50 raffle that other professional sports events do, like the Dallas Stars and the Cowboys?
Is that correct? I don't know about
this.
this.
The rodeo to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, it sounds like it. So, and of course, obviously, we would favor anybody having a raffle who wanted to, I suppose. So, my suggestion is that we say yes on this proposition. So, I would move that we say yes on Prop 1.
Second. Do you want to get through each of them?
Yeah, do we want to get through all of them?
Well, unless you want to approve, yea or nay, say what the position is as we go along.
Well, we have it seconded.
We're just informing.
Well, he did make a motion.
He said moves to say yes
But
on
if you
Prop
want- if
one.
you wanna do it-
You made a motion,
I can
and
make-
I don't have any reason to object to doing them separately. In fact, I think that might actually work better, because we're going to get to one at some point that we disagree on.
Yeah.
And trying to adopt them all
Yeah.
as one big package is gonna be difficult. So, what's that? Yes, so Ted made the motion to consider this one a yes. We had it seconded.
I got my second in first.
Okay. Any objection for the Libertarian Party of Texas to be a yes on Prop 1? Yes, sir. I think for now, I would really like to get to the yes no. If, depending on how we put this out, we can have supporting statements that go with them. We are not going to be able to craft those statements by committee today.
No.
So what I would expect is that our political action department and other people who have relevant expertise and thoughts on these things can craft those messages and then they can go out. But yes, my ideal would be that it would have explanation of why we go that way. And Mr. Lozano, he's obviously done some of that work with regard to our platform, how our platform. Absolutely, yeah, we can do that. It's going to be something we need to turn around pretty quickly, obviously, but yes.
Okay.
So let's get through the yes, no's for now.
Can they close the door back there?
Yeah.
Poor Colby is
somebody close
backlit,
the
and
door?
I just see
It is like a
outline.
glare, like a message.
Thank you.
All right, continue.
Oh, we're the
hang on.
vote.
We had no objections
Right.
to being yes on Prop 1.
Okay.
So we're
Okay.
yes on Prop 1.
Okay, Prop 2, the constitutional amendment authorizing a county to finance the development or redevelopment of transportation or infrastructure in unproductive, underdeveloped, or blighted areas in the county. Now, I had to look this one up, but this requires bonds. Bonds could be issued. And of course, generally, libertarians don't favor bonds issued by government agencies. They have to be paid back by taxpayers. So it would seem like on the surface, this looks like, oh, let's build things in bad parts of the county or something, but overall, it's obviously taxpayers are not going to benefit necessarily. Yes, I move to say no on 2.
Do you agree with being?
Second. Points of information.
Okay, so it has been seconded.
Information
Now
is
it's
a
open.
question, it's not providing information.
Right.
I am aware of an underground movement that helps counties communicate with each other for these types of bonds. It's a special type of bond that only requires a very small majority of the county. And the descriptor for how it's made most of the color is rather small. Basically, it's a law that has been government used to slide across bonds that otherwise would not get passed if they were more widely known. And the law is rather, there's one a cool aspect to it. If literally it's just few people show up at a county commissioner's meeting, the bond would be killed. And I believe that's one reason why they're trying to get this amendment passed, because that underground network information network has been, I think, kind of successful in trying to kill these bonds at the county level, across the state.
Thank you. So the motion has been made and seconded to be a no, for LP Texas to be a no on Prop 2. Is there any further discussion on this?
Just a clarification,
Yes.
I'm at least on SB 11. Is this proposition mandating the counties have to build infrastructure in those areas, or is it simply allowing counties to decide for themselves to do so?
It authorizes them to do so, which means they must want to, or they wouldn't have asked for it.
Well, and then
Yeah.
that brings me to my point. If that's what they want to do and their voters want to do, how is it going to apply?
What is prohibiting?
Yeah, I don't know the history of all of it.
Mr. Lozano.
Yeah, I just wanted to, Frank Lozano, Steve 47, just wanted to counter that by saying that the reason that we want to vote no on this is because our platform specifically mentions that we want a moratorium on bond issuance.
Correct.
This would allow bond issuance. So that's the reason, not whether or not.
But it could be seen as we're sort of saying, no, you shouldn't. decide, like, over the county.
Did you want to?
Right.
As long as I'm just asking.
Right, yeah, I just don't know the history, yeah. Yeah, I just don't know the history of the whole thing, like the whole legislative history.
Any further discussion, Ms. Miller?
Point of personal privilege, I would like the room to consider that this is part of the recipe of property taking that the state engages in.
Thank you.
Expand it in that domain.
This is three words from coming for your stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why the point that Mr. Lozano made is so important. Because we're against that. Categorically. All right, so, any further discussion on being no for Prop 2? All right, is there any objection to going ahead and adopting the against position on Prop 2? All right, that one's done.
Okay. Prop 3, to prohibit the state or a political subdivision of the state from prohibiting or limiting religious services of religious organizations. This one, of course, is COVID-related, how some governments were shutting down church services, is I'm sure where this came from. And I would move that we support this, say yes, because it upholds the First Amendment. Yeah.
All right, the motion has been made to be yes on Prop 3. Seconded, Ms. Miller.
I would ask, as a personal person, ask her to consider the fact that not all of these are yes or no, some of these are, here's why this is stupid.
Yeah, yeah.
We also have the option to abstain on these.
Exactly.
We can publicize our position on them as being
No position, right.
no position.
And this is a great example. This is an exercise in reaffirming what is already in the Constitution, which we shouldn't need to do. And the whole point of this is sort of a big jerk-off session. You can word it otherwise.
I like that.
But, you know, that's what's going on here. Let's just talk about the circus, maybe. I don't know, that's just an option.
I promise your eloquence is an inspiration to us all.
When we first started, a great rationale for no.
Yeah, I would have to be against it, since it's like, Liz already said, that it's already in the Constitution. Article 1, Section 29 prohibits the legislature from creating any law that abridges the other 28 sections of Article 1, which one of those is a right to assemble. There is no exception.
Right.
And whenever you subject, these people can be abstained from the controls of a political subdivision when it's already in the Constitution, and the legislature can't touch the right to assemble for any exception whatsoever.
They do.
This right here is what she basically said. It's a circle there.
That should be our response on why we voted yes. That's our response on why we're voting yes.
You have to express why it is there.
Well.
Because it's already there.
I would say that even if it's in the Constitution, even if it's in many places, if we're putting this out on a push card, it gives us a chance to put our words on it and why our party is saying that this is a good or bad idea.
I thought I did.
Okay, yeah.
Anybody opposed?
Yeah, I just want to point out that
Who's speaking and speak up? Thank you, Colby.
I'd just like to point out, I agree this is redundant. However, I mean, saying it's in the Constitution didn't stop what happened in 2010. Having another opportunity to file a lawsuit not based on just the Constitution, I mean, I'm for it.
Okay, and to note, this is to amend the Constitution, so this also goes in the Constitution, yeah. Oh, the Texas Constitution, right.
To say they're in violation of something else.
Right.
Next time, anything like this.
Yeah.
Scott Talley, SD5. I'm kind of sort of with Colby on this one. At the same time, it's kind of stupid. It's just the Republicans trying to get their Christian following to say, hey, look, this is what we're doing for you. It's a political move by Republicans. But at the same time,
What is it?
they did overstep the Constitution. But I mean, they can still be sued for that.
And I think you're saying.
I mean, I think we can agree that it shouldn't be a problem, but at the same time, I don't think we need an amendment for it.
Okay, Mr. Westbrook?
So my question is pertaining to what those who have said, basically what you just said. So I would like one of you to respond, if not all of you, if you can, to tell me why to say, yes, we support that, and based on what my colleague from Senate District 31 so eloquently stated a while ago, why we should say no to that, because I haven't heard a good reason to say no to that up to this point. I heard some conjecture about it, but I didn't hear a good reason to say, you know, hey, this is a bad idea to say no this week. Because I think we need to say absolutely yes to that because it supports the Constitution and it's out there.
I'm going to go to Mr. Holcomb because I haven't heard you speak.
Ray Holcomb said this is not to call previous questions.
Okay.
So, what trustee, remind me?
Ray Holcomb.
10?
10.
Thank you.
Request for information.
Oh, please. All right. The motion that's on the floor is for Prohibit, Texas to take a favorable position on Prop 3. Seconded. Had discussion. The question has been called and seconded.
I didn't hear a second.
I will second it.
No, Robert.
23.
Is there any objection to calling the question?
My request for information is regarding, I hear this is an amendment. What part of the Constitution is it amending? Is that explained anywhere?
I don't have that information available.
It's just being added.
Yeah.
Well, there's objection to calling the question. That's a good point. Objection to calling the question, so now we'll proceed to vote on calling the question. All in favor of calling the question, to consider this motion or to vote on this motion, raise your hand. Okay, opposed? All right, it passes. Question, we'll move to a vote on this. So the motion is to, for LP Texas to take a favorable position, that means 4, Prop 3. Obviously, we will have, we'll include our rationale and everything on it.
Including that.
All in favor? Raise your hands. Opposed? Passed.
Okay. Proposition 4, it changes the eligibility requirements for a justice of the Supreme Court, judge of the Court of Criminal Appeals, a justice of a Court of Appeals, and a district judge. And this is a case where apparently there's not a lot of qualifications listed in the Constitution, and this would add like number of years, you have to be a member of the bar and all these kind of things. And I was looking at it as like this just limits who can run for office, and it should be up to the voters as to who they select. So I would move that we say no on Proposition 4.
Second. SB 31.
Who said that?
Needed that.
Yeah.
Just in case you needed to know the second.
I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it has been moved that we take the negative or the against position on Prop 4. Seconded. Any objections to moving forward with that position? Hearing no objections, that's our position.
Okay. Prop 5 would provide additional powers to the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, with respect to candidates for judicial office. Currently, the State Commission regulates the actual judges who have already been elected. This would add candidates who have not even become a judge yet, could be complained against maybe by this unelected board. So I don't think there's any reason that we want to give more power to an unelected board, so I would move that we say no on Prop 5.
Second.
All right, any objections to taking the no position on Prop 5? All right.
Okay? Okay, Prop 6 establishes a right for residents of certain facilities to designate an essential caregiver for in-person visitation. Another COVID-related amendment, this is where people couldn't visit their relatives in nursing homes. And you have these poor elderly people having to look through the glass, I guess, to see some of their relatives. And this is saying that they can allow one person, at least, an essential caregiver that would have access to that person physically. It's amazing this would have to be in the Constitution, but apparently the law was such that they could forbid any family member or any person from visiting a person in a nursing home. So that's the point on that. So that's why I would move that we say yes on Prop 6.
Second.
Yeah.
To say yes to this?
All right, so.
Second.
Scott, what's that?
I just want to.
Yes.
You want to speak? Okay, yes. So the motion has been made to be yes on Prop 6.
Yes.
It was seconded. Is there any objection to adopting that position for Prop 6?
I think there was a question, too.
Yes. We now have discussion.
And a question.
You're going to be second.
Yeah.
I just think this is another one we need to be careful on how we word this.
Mhm.
In it, we're saying yes to something that deems someone essential. One person is essential. And I think our position should be like, maybe this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
But my God, anyone's essential, and this is a right to be able to visit someone.
Yeah,
Your family.
I agree with you. This is a start, though. At least it shows that the public would be saying, hey, wait a minute, they have the right to be visited.
Strongly worded
Yeah,
message,
right.
in addition to whatever yes or no. This is one that could go either way, just
Yeah.
like that last one we argued about.
Mhm.
We just got to get that wording right on both of them.
Exactly.
So my problem with saying yes to that is that it precludes individual homes from preventing people from going in when there is a problem. Let's say, and I'm just pulling an example, Ebola hits, and the residency of the nursing home says, sorry, you can't, and you've got someone coming in. I maintain the right for individual businesses to make that determination, and that restricts this. So I would suggest we say no and explain why.
Mr. Westbrook?
Yes.
So, first of all, the way this particular proposition is written makes it a two-edged sword.
Mhm.
And so, that is problematic, and so I would suggest that we say no, and say no because of that factor. Here's the deal. What you said is true, but this right, when I first read it, I thought the benefit was for the facility, but it's for the residents, so the individual is the one that's given that right. Okay, the individual is the one who can designate an essential caregiver, but what that does then is that allows the business to say, oh, well, then we're only going to let that one caregiver come in. And that's why it's a two-edged sword, because it ends up with a positive on the benefit of the resident, a negative on the benefit of the resident as well, because it could potentially limit their visitors. So it's not a good proposition, and we ought to state that that's the reason we would say that.
Yeah. And of course, the other option is no position, of
There you
course.
go.
Right,
Thank
so,
you.
Take the gavel, not to delete it, but I actually want to get in line to speak about this. I want to first point out that we still can take an abstention position on this and explain both sides of why we think this is a concern. The other thing I want to point out is, yes, I totally agree with you about the property rights issue when it comes to businesses. What complicates this one is that these people are residents in these facilities. This is their home. So that's why this is complicated, and that's why we could still consider instead of being yes or no, because there are reasons for either one of those. But an abstention position might be one we consider for this, and that way we can fully explain both sides and all the reasons why we moved this that way. Liz, I think I had you next, and then Renee, and then Frank. And then Arthur.
I would say, and, your point, and they are often, they're not my choice.
Who said that?
Renee.
Elizabeth Miller, I think, and I'm so sorry.
That's all right, Liz, thank you.
Renee.
Renee Perez, tonight. This is kind of an open question. Are there still limits to what facilities will allow? Because I recall LGBTQ.
You're looking at me as a
Well, I believe that has been the issue in the past where partners have been allowed to
situations are these days. Frank was next. Just to, a couple points, I've been speaking in favor, to address Stephanie's point about the rights of the business versus the rights of the individual. I think as libertarians, we should always refer to the smallest minority in any situation, which if there's a conflict between a small business and an individual, the individual should probably win out because they have a smaller minority in that instance. And of course, the business still has, if there's an Ebola outbreak, they could, I guess, jettison the resident if they're allowing a bunch of users. So they still have a remedy in that situation. The other reason I think that we should vote yes is because I cited to the platform the freedom to associate. This kind of dovetails with today's point about this is kind of a backdoor for certain individuals if they're not. I know if poster protocol, you're recognized if you're married, whatever. But this is providing backdoor for people to freely associate with someone. They can designate anyone they want to as and then finally, the final point we should vote yes is, again, the purpose of this is mainly a forward-facing front to people, showing what our values are and kind of a demonstration of our platform in action. And if we say no or abstain to allowing people to do what they want to do, and the people who they want to do that kind of, I think it looks about perfect.
I think probably the best way to deal with this is just to test it with a vote. So I will move to amend to change the yes to an abstain, and we'll find out.
Second. All right, we have a motion to amend instead of being in favor of this proposition to abstain from this proposition, obviously providing appropriate commentary. And it was seconded by Mrs. People, I believe. Is there any objection to the amendment of switching to abstention? Objection. Okay, there's an objection.
Vote.
So, do you want to speak to it any further?
I just want to do a vote.
Call the question.
Since you objected, and you were the last speaker anyway, I don't know if you have anything further to add.
Well, yeah, I want to just reiterate that the reason that I'm objecting to abstention is the same reason that we do technically know. We're trying to provide the public and anybody what our positions are and kind of demonstrate what our platform is. An abstention kind of muddies the water and is, it could confuse people, in other words. I think we should take a clear, especially since there's citation to our platform, I think we should take a clear stance yes or no.
All right, how do you want this to see? Is it relevant to this amendment now, do you think?
I have a quick question, Madam Chair. Will we be allowed to take a vote on the descriptions of these amendments before they are published?
Whether or not we're going to be able to vote on them, I can't say, but we would run them by on the forum.
They'll
take
vote
any
through the
input.
forum, okay. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility that the state, the resident have a state guardian designated and then they can prevent a family member from being working this?
I have no idea.
So in a way that that's our state using this, then preventing, okay, I had a hospice service, or if you have somebody who's going to make their decision on their own, they have a state guardian, they can prevent a family member from seeing the police on the way to the screen.
We have no way of knowing that. Because, we don't. I have just Westbrook on the list again, but I'm going to let her speak first because she hasn't spoken on this tonight.
It's okay, I will make the motion that I'll make.
Okay.
Call all pending questions.
Okay, all pending questions have been called. What that means, you already knew, is the amendment and the motion, the original motion, will all be voted on as one package. So, yes, in succession, but no breaks in between. So, all pending questions have been called.
Did we vote on the objection, or is that necessary?
Objection was made.
Okay. All questions.
So the way this works, all questions have been called. We're still in an amendment phase, which was to change to abstain on this proposition. There was an objection to that, so we're still considering it. We're going to consider that first, and then we're going to make a motion, and there will be no further discussion. Any objection to calling all questions? Okay. All in favor of the amendment, which is to change from a yes position to an abstain position on process? Raise your hand. Opposed? Passes. Okay, so the motion motion has been amended to adopt the abstention position on Prop 6. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Passes.
Okay, Prop 7, to allow the surviving spouse of a person who is disabled to receive a limitation on the school district ad valorem taxes on the spouse's residence homestead if the spouse is 55 years of age or older at the time of the person's death. What this means is if someone was getting a discount on their property taxes because they were disabled and then they die, their spouse can still keep getting it if the spouse is over 55. So apparently, currently, she would have a big increase in her property taxes if this was not passed. So I would move that we say yes on 7.
All right. All right, we've got a motion to be yes on this one.
Yes.
It was seconded. The objection to being yes on this, on the Prop 7. Who's got the gavel? I object. You've already spoken to yours, would you like to?
No.
Let us.
Would you like to speak to why you'd like to be yes more than what you've already said?
No.
Okay. Ms. Bill.
Okay, the only thing I want to point out is that, as has been pointed out in the past and on the forum, is that we have historically been against these kinds of propositions. And I personally vote against these every chance I get because it establishes special classes of income. And it's just a judgment call that I personally make, that yes, we want to lower everybody's taxes. We really want to eliminate property taxes specifically. Nobody in this room should have to pay property taxes. Nobody you know should have to pay property taxes. They should be completely abolished. But I also don't like creating social classes of people. So personally, that's why I would be a no on this one. And obviously we'll explain that to great detail as we can in our position when we make a vote. That's my question.
Yeah, on that, I think that argument would play better for the next proposition, Prop 8, but for Prop 7, Prop 7, this is where they already have that discounted property tax because of the spouse, and it doesn't matter of community property and such, so this one's kind of a special case, I would say. Prop 8, I think your argument would have a great bearing on that one, but not on 7.
Asking to, oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I can't see.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Stand up. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'd like to speak in favor of the motion, and here's mine. First of all, I am a disabled individual. And although I agree that that's our position, the position of the Libertarian Party is what has been stated up to this point, the reality is we do have property taxes. And so I can tell you for sure that if it weren't for those exemptions, I would own my home. Moreover, in full disclosure, my wife is also disabled, but if she still had the job that she had before, there's no way, if I were to pass at this time, if she didn't still have that exemption, that she would be able to keep that house. Now, that doesn't fall in line with our party's stance on the matter, but it does fall in line with reality. So that's all I have to say.
Anyone to speak against besides Whitney? Nathan? No? You're just raising your hand for nothing? Oh, okay. Has Frank spoken? Have you spoken on this one yet? I don't think you have. Okay. Frank and then Whitney.
Frank is on ST47. I mentioned this in the forum, but I just wanted to address that point because someone else had also brought that up, is that this kind of is a debate over incrementalism versus, getting called enchilada, basically. So, we're against taxation. I think probably, hopefully everyone agrees with that. So it's kind of like, a couple years ago, the state authorized hemp or anything that's less than 0.03 THC, I believe, is the law. So do we say we're against authorizing the hemp because it doesn't completely legalize marijuana, which is the position we want, or do we say that we want to allow hemp? And this is kind of that same analogous type of question. Do we want to say publicly that we're against taxes Because if we say no or we abstain, the public's going to think, well, I thought you guys were being at that tax party, and here you are saying no or abstaining to something that lowers taxes, even though it does so in a discriminatory manner. I will concede.
Whitney?
I don't disagree with any of that. I just would be remiss if I didn't remind everyone that just because they get tax cuts, people doesn't mean they modify their budgets in any way, shape, or form. It does not lower the tax bill that the rest of us then have to pick up.
Mr. Thomas, and then Nick.
I'm going to do this again. I move to amend to change yes to abstain, and let's just take a vote.
Second that motion.
There's a motion on the floor to change yes to abstain. It has been seconded by Jack Westbrook. Are there any objections to amending the motion?
Object.
There's an objection. Would you like to speak to your objection?
I just want to vote.
Okay. I'm just going to proceed to a vote because that's where my brain wants to go right now. So, all in favor of amending the motion from supporting with a yes to abstaining, raise your hand.
Is that for?
This is all in favor of changing the motion, amending the motion to abstaining to this one. Okay, all opposed? Got 13 and 10.
In which direction?
13, 4, and 10 against. Do we have enough there? I don't know what our current numbers are.
It's just out of the people that voted.
Okay. Then it passes. So we are changing the main motion now to abstaining on this one.
Point of information, was that majority, or was that just more yes than no? What was the criteria?
It was a majority of those who voted.
Oh, of those who voted?
Yes.
Of all or part of the market value of the residence homestead of the surviving spouse of a member of the armed forces of the U.S. who is killed or fatally injured in the line of duty. That's pretty obvious, and based on what our last vote was, I will change what I had on my list and say I move that we abstain on Proposition 8.
All right, we have a motion to abstain on Prop 8, or taking the abstention as our position on Prop 8. It's been seconded. Any objection?
Objection.
Check.
No.
All right. Would you like to speak further?
Well, I would have said yes on Prop 8, like I said yes on Prop 7, because I believe that, but it's slightly different, and this is something new rather than the spouse of someone who was already getting the exemption. But I believe that if there's a way of reducing somebody's taxes, I'm going to take it. So, but if we abstain on it, I certainly don't think we should oppose it, but abstaining and taking no position is what I would call it, means we can explain that we don't want anybody to pay the tax, but, you know, if someone wants to explain about special, you know, exemptions or whatever, Whitney spoke about that previously.
I just want to speak against abstaining for all the above reasons, and also to rebut the argument that the budget stays the same. The idea is that if we decrease taxes for some people, taxes on other people will increase. That still has to be voted on by the legislature or whatever city commission or county commission is adopting that budget. So by decreasing the taxes on some people, it doesn't automatically increase the taxes on the others. It might give an incentive for legislative bodies to do so, but it does not allow that. And that gives another opportunity to go to the public and say, look, they're raising their taxes. It puts pressure on the state, it puts pressure on the government. And we can here's this letter trying to say. So I would vote against abstaining.
We might see SB 31. I was a yes vote on the last one, and I would like to be a yes vote on this one, but I think we really risk just putting out confusion. We don't consistently. If we abstain from the last one, I think we should abstain on this one and give a good explanation on both of them, or else we're even further exacerbating the problem that we brought up of creating certain classes. Like we're for tax cuts on soldier spouses, but not for disabled. Like, this gets really complicated. Whatever we did on the last one, we should have the same line here with a reasonable explanation why.
I've got people who have had their hands up, but I'm actually going to exercise some chair's privilege here and let Mr. Pierce jump the line because he's got a piece of information that I think is important.
Tax code section 11133 basically already does this. The only appreciable difference that I'm seeing here is that it allows the surviving spouse to remarry and still keep the exemption.
Yeah, I was actually looking that up.
Oh.
Move to extend by 5 minutes.
Who was that? I'm sorry.
David Pierre, 28.
So, time has expired on this item. How many propositions do we have left?
That's the
This
last
is
one.
This is the last one. Okay, so there's been a motion to extend time for 5 minutes.
Who moved that?
It's been seconded. The objection to
I
extending
moved
for 5
it.
minutes to complete this item. All right, we're extended for 5 minutes. We are still in debate. Moxley.
I don't necessarily want to speak against abstaining, but more for a yes vote. However, I share some of the same concerns that Colby has. We voted abstain on 7, and it would send kind of makes a decision that we want to abstain on 1, yes on another. The reason I would vote yes on this one is anybody who's traveled across Texas in the last couple of weeks, a couple of months, has probably seen a certain Republican governor campaigning on a platform of eliminate property taxes. And if we're abstaining or said no to this, we may be sending the signal that we're weaker on property taxes than certain candidates.
I just want to point out my distinguished colleague was incorrect in terms of the size of the pie of taxation when it comes to property taxes. Property taxes are all relative. The amount of tax collected is fixed. So the valuations change, the tax rates change, but then how that gets distributed amongst everybody is a function of exactly these sorts of things. So if my neighbor's property values go down, then I'll pay more tax because that's just the way they do that, so they get the same amount of money. For different.
And any tax loss, revenue loss, I think does create a pressure on the damn appraisal boards to increase the valuation of home. They just tried to increase my house by $30,000, so the bastards are going to do that crap.
Regardless of.
Ours went up 15%.
Mr. Tanner.
Aaron Tanner, SD4. I do think we will talk about incremental change, and I believe that is how change happens most of the time. But I think the most change we're seeing here is not about reducing taxes as much as it is giving the government more power to pick winners and losers. I think that's
Okay.
Madam Chair, if there are no other questions or matters of discussion, I'd like to call the question. Jack Westbrook, SB 31.
I had no one else on deck, so I wanted. Okay, question has been called.
Second.
It has been seconded. Is there objection to calling the question? All right, we move to a vote on this. We're still on amendment, right?
No,
there was no
no amendments. It's the original motion was to abstain.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You changed it.
Right.
Before he made it,
Yeah.
yes.
Before you got it. Okay, so,
Efficiency.
all in favor of taking the abstention position on Proposition 8, raise your hand. Opposed? Passes.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, we'll get to work on these right away. A lot of the language, just so you know, like the direction that I would go with this would be including platforms, obviously, material, and then any, a lot of the main points that we, a lot of the main points that we've talked about here today. If anyone has anything they would like to add to that, please just send it my way, or you can put it in the forum, we'll sort of specific thread, so that it can all go there. Let's just keep the discussion as clean as possible, so that we can be very succinct, so that we know what cases to use and then we put out a draft.
Government picking winners and losers. Yes. And that's really direct. What's really wrong with America right now is that our government is picking the winners and the losers. The rest of us are
All right. So, that actually is our last, no, that was our last new business item.
Gotcha.
LNC report, which I don't have to give anymore. However, John Wilford was not able to stay with us to do that part, so I'll just kind of reiterate a couple of the pieces. The Shreveport, the Region 7 training, which Becca shared with you earlier today. If you're able to attend that, we want Texas to represent as much as possible in everything that National does. So please check that out. I will be there, she'll be there. No, you're going to be there. Lots of people are going to be there. So let's make that really, really good for all of us. LNC meeting, also again reiterating, that'll be in Louisville, first week, Labor Day weekend at the Brown Hotel, September 4th and 5th. Yeah, I could do that. So another thing that National has started recently, we've actually been working on it since Lauren worked for the Libertarian Party, Lauren Doherty. Something that was near and dear to her heart and mine that's finally getting off the ground is the Association of Libertarian Educators. One of the big complaints we hear about all the time is that we don't have enough libertarian student groups on college campuses and such. And so as a former educator myself, that was something we started working on a long time ago, and trying to figure out how to get educators involved with libertarian movement and get them to sponsor these student groups on campus, because Republicans and Democrats actually have party-affiliated student groups on campuses. But it's been very difficult to find educators who are willing to go out on a limb and identify themselves as libertarians or even libertarian curious. And this is the Libertarian Party's way of sort of bringing those people out of the woodwork and letting them know that there's this network for them and support. And so anyway, it's called ALE is how we actually refer to it, and it's going to be kicked off mid-November in Boston. I will be attending that, and so if any of you are educators or you care about that sort of thing, we can get you more information about it, and we'll provide any updates as that develops. But hopefully that'll get a lot of support, and we'll start getting it. Yes, thank you. Okay. I think that's it for the LNC report. Damn it, I didn't want to get that. All right. Next meeting date, first weekend in November, which is
November 5th.
November 5th.
Right.
Yes.
Nope. Yeah. Wait, hold on. Why is it on 2022?
It is, right?
No, November 6th. Sorry. I was on November 6th. Yeah.
November 6th is, oh yeah, that's right. So November 6th is the next SLEC meeting date.
Happy birthday to me again.
You should change your birthday. All right.
6th. Sorry, November 6th, Saturday, November 6th. My calendar was on 2022 for some reason.
Next item on the agenda is, okay. All right, next item on the agenda is,
Did you have a general location?
No.
I missed that. Okay.
Not yet. Next item on the agenda is announcements. So any SLEC members who have announcements about anything going on that you want the rest of us to know about. Joe Roberts.
Joe Roberts, SC23. I'm going to put on my affiliate liaison hat. Just to let you know, I've reached out to new temporary county chairs. One thing that I said in my follow-up emails, I let them know who their SLEC reps are. I also let them know that a lot of you are county chairs, so if they reach out to you, I just encourage you, if they reach out to you on advice on building the party, on, getting the word out to get the Libertarian brand out there when convention season rolls around, I'm sure that you will do this anyway, but just to let you know that they may be coming to you, asking questions. They do have the leadership manual that Nathan developed, but a lot of them that I've talked to, they're eager, but they're just, how do I go about it next? And so I let them know that, that especially if you are a county chair in your county, so I encourage you to be reach out and help them and to help them launch social board the party that way.
Thank you. Janae?
Amanda Long, SC18. I wanted to remind everyone about National Convention next May in Reno, May 26th to 29th. And right now we still have the Dean contest going on. There are 10 to choose from, I believe.
That sounds right.
And $1 is a vote, and we need more votes. It ends on September 5th. I don't believe I have seen anyone in here's name come through.
She's cheating.
Sorry, I'm not going to.
And this is not my favorites, but it's good. Freedom, tolerance, and personal responsibility has 900. And I think that one- Yes.
Is everybody able to hear her?
Theme contest for the national convention is still ongoing until September 5th.
Yes.
All right. You should have gotten an email from that if you get emails from the national
Yes,
party.
the leading theme is
Freedom, tolerance.
Tolerance, and personal responsibility.
freedom, tolerance, and personal responsibility is leading. Can you tell us what second place is so far?
The biggest little party in the world. Okay, that's not second. Make it happen. Hashtag make it happen has 234.
And then third?
That's weird.
Liberty Unmasked.
Liberty Unmasked.
So first, the leading theme right now is freedom, tolerance, and personal responsibility. Second place right now is
Make it happen.
hashtag make it happen. And third place right now is Liberty Unmasked.
Yes.
You can go to the website to find all of those and see how they're all doing.
I have look right now if anyone wants to
Okay.
look for that.
Oh,
And
links
it's
are
a-
in Discord.
On the Slack
It's in the Slack channel.
So it's $1 per vote. I think also Janae mentioned that she didn't see any of your names come through as people supporting any of these themes. So if you want to have an impact and have any say in the national parties,
Are there write-ins?
the convention theme, that's how you do it. Yes.
Also about the convention, the early bird ticket prices end on September 6th.
Oh yes, early bird ticket prices end on September 6th. So we can't. Sorry.
It's a good discount.
Tell everybody you really want to. Yes.
Make an
I
announcement.
just want to say that thanks to three of our colleagues, Frank Lozano, Kyle Russell, and Mike Billing, we are now welcoming 15
Wow.
new members in the race.
Liz.
I'm reminding myself, because I haven't done this yet, maybe everybody else wants to talk about our, inviting local people to the event tonight.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was
Is
going
that
to do.
what you're gonna do?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I'm handing over the registration over to Janae, because, I'm going to have to start doing things and move around. So if you need to register to get your drink tickets for tonight, she is the girl to see. And we have wristbands for people who have food tickets.
For when you actually arrive. You're
So
not getting them
if you,
sooner.
that way, whenever we do have door cover coming in, you won't get a wristband, the attendees will not give you food. So just to clarify on that. And yes, please reach out to your counties and SDs that are here, invite them, let them know it's $20 for door cover, and then come hang out. Cash bar, games, fun. We always do.
All right. Any other SLEC reps with announcements? All right. Yes?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Who was that?
I do appreciate that. However, we have not had public comment yet, and I know there are people back there who wish to speak, so would you,
I beg your pardon.
can we indulge them?
Withdraw my motion until such time as you make public comment.
Thank you. Since no more SLEC announcements, time for public comment. Ginny?
Go to the mic.
It's very short. It's a walk-in. This is so short.
So close. Watch your step.
She wants everyone to give their badges back.
I do. Thank you. I want everyone, please put your badges back on the table right up front. If you don't want to hand them to me personally, I would kind of rather you drop them at the table, but some of you are going to hand them to me anyway. The other thing is we have a few brochures that we keep with us every time. It's just general LP Texas stuff. Also some that are in Spanish, and I don't have a ton of them with me, but they're out on the table out there. If you need more than that to take to your county, please feel free.
Thank you. Anyone else in the gallery wish to speak?
I move to adjourn.
All right. Mr. Westbrook, I'll take up your motion to adjourn. Oh my God. All right. Any objection to adjournment? We are adjourned. Thank you.